Good morning. How is everybody doing today? Let me just give me a tick till I see if I can get this going on. Yeah, here we go. So today I want to talk specifically about juicing for children. And let me reiterate one more time, there is juicing and smoothie making are two completely different things. Smoothies, you're putting stuff in a NutriBullet or a blender and battering it up. And juicing, you're putting the stuff through a juicer and extracting the juice only, and it's watery in texture, okay? What I like to do, generally speaking, I think for the benefit of juicing for June in terms of, if there's anybody there, can you let me know if you can hear me okay? Because I had no sound yesterday. Is there anybody on that can let me know whether you can hear me or not? Let me see if I put myself on and if I can be heard over here. Because I don't want to actually spend any time. Looks like it. Yep, looks like you can hear me. All good. I thought I'll do it in the sitting room today rather than the kitchen because I think it was an internet thing. So, morning, Sean. You can hear me okay today, darling? So just generically what we're looking for juicing for June is just feeling better, boosting the immune system, giving the microbiome some building bricks for restoration, repair and regeneration. So if you have a specific disease, a label that you would like to specifically address with massive amounts of enzymes, then you're maybe going to have to use, if you depending on your level of understanding and education, you may need to use a therapist or some kind of guide. I'm a big believer that we can do a lot of it ourselves. We don't need other people, but sometimes if you're new to things, if you've never tried things, you need to get a little bit of guidance. I'm great, Sean, thank you. So juicing is a completely different thing because you're putting things in, you're taking the fibre out and extracting the juice. Smoothie, you're putting everything in and you're blending it up. Now, for children and getting vegetables into children, now quite often what happens, I'll put this down actually because I'll explain a little bit. What generally happens is you can control your child's diet up until they're maybe a year, 2 years, they start going to parties. People want to bring in sugar and you're seen as a freak if you don't want to give them crap. And you get quite a lot of peer pressure that there's something wrong with you, that you only want to put good food into your children's diet. And you don't want to make them bulimic or anorexic. So what you tend to do is then say, well, you can have a little bit, which is absolutely probably fine, depending on their health picture. And then as they get older and go to school, etc., it all gets out of your hands. And one of the biggest issues is getting them to eat more vegetables. Now, I know with my grandchildren cutting up bits of pepper, cucumbers, all different carrots. They'll eat these. They'll sit when they come in from school and they'll sit and eat the vegetables like that. And that's fine. I'm a great believer in the 80-20 rule. And I also know that feeding your children healthy food can be so challenging today when so many people just give their kids absolute garbage to put in their body. And not because they don't like their children, maybe a wee bit. No, I'm joking, obviously. But because they really have no understanding. And because the child's been weaned on the foods, the more bland processed foods, that's what their microbiome demands. So it's much easier to put the time in, between 1 and 2, to get all this diversity into them as much as possible. The reality is that sugar is going to light them up. Anything that's sweet, usually they're going to enjoy. Getting live fruit into them is fantastic, but the vegetables can be trickier. So here's what I discovered when I was doing juicing with the kids in the school. I put a little bit of beetroot in to change the colour because green suggests veggies, and they're probably not going to like the idea of that because they're just not educated on nutrition. Let's face it. And maybe you're not either. You don't fully understand. I truly believe if everybody understood about nutrition, we'd all be making very, very different choices. But what I did was I made a juice, and it wasn't quite as red as this. I made it more pink. I just put a little bit of beetroot in because what I knew was if it looked like cremola foam, the colour straight away can put them off. What's in here is carrot, courgette, pepper, ginger, apple, lemon, because I'm going to give my auntie some of this morning and I want it to taste nice for her. I don't really care about the taste, but I want her to enjoy it. So there's apple in there, the courgette, the pepper. They're all very sweet, all really easy. What else? And beetroot, obviously. Beetroot's super powerful food. The vegetables that grow below the ground, the starchy vegetables, the carrots, the turnips, the sweet potatoes, the beetroot, they all taste much sweeter in the juice. So you can just put a little bit, because remember, we're not looking for gallons of stuff here. We're just looking for diversity, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit of the next thing. Then you can do what I did yesterday, put in a couple of nettle leaves, some nettle seeds if you have any. I put some sorrel, some herb Robert, some dock leaves, just tiny little fresh ones, and some daisy leaves. All of that in there too. I've not blended this yet. So you can add the diversity, a little bit of, if you're lucky enough to get raw turmeric, fantastic. If you can't get raw turmeric, just put a little bit of powder in. Some people like cinnamon. Then you have, you can, if you want this to be their breakfast, you want to add more protein in. So you can have your nuts, your seeds, yogurt. Now, yogurt's another food a bit like pizza, where it can vary drastically in how shit it is to how incredible medicine it can be. And really, to be honest, unless you know somebody who makes it, you want it live. You're not going to get it live in the shops because they've got to pasteurise it. So if you live in Scotland, you'll need to order raw milk from England. How ridiculous is that? And make it yourself. Because see, like anything, if you make it yourself, you know exactly what's in it, and it's dead easy to make. You can get the raw milk, you can make kefir, then you can make yogurt, and then you can make your own beautiful live cheese, which will absolutely feed the microbiome. Now, milk gets a lot of bad rap as well, and most of us are understanding a lot of these plant milks are shite. They're full of sugar and spike the glucose. And you know yourself, if it tastes nice, it's probably full of sugar. So good old Coo juice can act like a medicine, not for everyone and not for blood group O. I posted a bit about that. But you can, for me, I can eat like the harder cheeses, but the more soft kefir yogurt stuff, which I love. Actually, my stomach will just bloat now. It'll go like hard. So that's a shame. But anyway, suck it up in the grand scheme of things, which leads me to another point with juicing. See the amount of people that say, I don't like cleaning the juicer. Is it a bit inconvenient to rinse a juicer? It will take you all of about 30 seconds. Is chemotherapy inconvenient? Let me assure you it is. We're talking about preventing disease here, preventing things. So shut up about cleaning the juicer. I have zero sympathy or time for listening to that. So here we are, we're focusing on the light, we're focusing on nature and wild medicine. So we've got this phenomenal base juice here, which you can see it's just been extracted from the juicer. In here, we're putting nuts, seeds. If you want some yogurt, you need to be careful with coconut yogurt as well, because it's bloody full of sugar as well quite often. You can put MCT oil in here as well, which again fattens it up and creates the satiety in the body so that you're not hungry. And then you could put a banana in, an avocado. What you'll find with kids, and again, it'll depend what age they are, the texture is key. So that's the great thing about the NutriBullet, is that you can batter it around until it's really smooth. Then you can put some water in it. And also, you can make enough and put it in the fridge for tomorrow or for tonight. Yes, it's not as full of live enzymes. The life starts to dwindle a little bit, but it'll be fine for 24 hours. So if time is an issue, then a 24-hour-old smoothie, live, made by you, knowing exactly when it is, still better than a bit of toast or a bit of a rice cake first thing in the morning. So you're not looking for perfection. You're just looking for a wee bit better than you're already doing. So also what you can do in here is like a few spinach leaves, a few nettle leaves. So you can hide the greens in here. The other thing, of course, is berries. Berries have got a much lower glycemic load than a lot of other fruits. But also, if weight is not an issue, and if blood sugar is not an issue, because you can still have major blood sugar issues and be thin. Trust me. And it's interesting. This morning I was looking at an article that was saying, is the diabetic foundation fooling people? Because we know for a fact type 2 diabetes is food-led issue. So why are we just giving people drugs for it? Why are we not educating them on how to balance their own blood sugar? So you need to be careful with juice. My friend's a type 1 diabetic. If you're doing the Zoe thing, you can tell if this spikes your blood sugar. So putting a lot of things in here, and there's nothing wrong with spiking your blood sugar as long as it normalizes again. It's like your blood pressure, it will go up and down. But if it's sustaining a high level above 10, then you have to look at your sugar and your grain content, because that'll be the two things that'll be spiking it. White flour and white sugar. So this gets turned into an absolutely phenomenal product by the things that we can have in our fridge. And let's look at cost again. The kind of nuts can be extortionate. I'll put this down. So almonds, you can get big bags of almonds. So I don't know whether you get paid monthly, buying things in bulk so that you have these things in your cupboard, and maybe you can't afford to fill it with spirulina and wheatgrass and nuts and seeds and all of that stuff, which, let's make no mistake, there is a cost attached to it. But also, you can make your own seeds. If you're buying a watermelon, buying any kind of melon, a pumpkin, just take the seeds out, dry them and grind them up in your blender, or maybe even with a mortar and pestle. Some people like to do that because it avoids the heat. You can get very anal about the processes, but you just do something which is better than nothing. So that is how to sneak juices and vegetables into your children's cells and bodies. Now, depending on the age of your child, if you've got a young child, you can make that quite thick, and they can spoon it themselves, so you can keep the texture thicker so that it's easier for them to eat. If you have an older child that you're looking to give this as a breakfast or as a snack for taking to school, you probably want the texture a little bit more drinkable through, one of the kind of cups that they take to school. You can just put water in that, or you can fill it up. I mean, I wouldn't recommend filling it up with like bought juices, because again, it's not ideal, but it's better than nothing. So you can have apple juice or orange juice. And if your child's really active and not got any health issues, they're going to burn that up. It's not a problem. It's only as you come down the health scale and health becomes poorer, you have to be very, very careful about how you're doing it. Digestive issues as well, obviously. This can massively help digestive issues when you put all that fibre back in. You can really help the body to clean out that digestive tract, to replace the microbiome, and to feed the good army, because that's what we want to do in that tummy jungle. We want to be feeding the army that repairs and restores, and not the army that breaks the body down, which is what's happening for a lot of people right now. It also massively impacts your level of toxicity, because we are living in a very toxic planet, regardless of how much you filter your water, sleep under a protected, internet cage, steep your foods, think you're buying organic, doing all the things that you're doing well. It's impossible not to, to interact in this world and not go into some level of toxicity. What are you thinking? What are you thinking about the apparent others? What are you thinking about your neighbour? What are you thinking about your family? All of that stuff. So we have to just do our best. You can get totally bogged down on the rights and the wrongs of it. Just for today, it's part of the 12-step program. Just for today, what can we do to make ourselves feel better? And just for today, you can just juice. And if you don't have a juicer, you can use your blender. Blend it all up. Some people just blend the vegetables up with some water and then use a sieve. Do whatever you need to do. We're not living in the ideal world. So what can happen is people, I don't have the £500 juicer, it's centrifugal instead of cold press. Forget all that stuff. You can just focus in. And also what you can do is you can literally put this intention. I know when I drink this that my microbiome is going to be like, yes, the colours, the enzymes, the antioxidants, the healing that will take place and I'm like, thank you. That is the mindset you want. If you're sitting going, this is shame, I hate enzymes, I can't afford to do this every day. You can probably feel the difference in the energy when you're doing that. So think great, wild medicine thoughts. Feel like the difference that it's making. Excuse me, my nose is still upgrading and detoxing. So, juice in June, more veggies. As you're well aware, I do not promote a vegan diet for anyone, certainly anyone living in Scotland, for blood sugar reasons, for hormone balance. In fact, I actually was talking to somebody one day whose naturopath said, if you're not willing to give up the veganism, I will not work with you, because that's a hard fact, is that for now, as far as we're aware, a lot of people need to have a level of protein, way more, especially when you're over menopause age, than you did when you were younger. Or you're simply not going to get the satiety, the hormone balance, the clarity. Because what we know, even when it comes to Alzheimer's and dementia, they're calling it type 3 diabetes. It's all carbohydrate laden. And what happens is a lot of people cut out meat and fish and etc. for all sorts of different reasons. It doesn't matter why. And they start eating a lot more carbohydrate. And that's why we're seeing people on the actual carnivore diet, which I would hate to have to go on. But I know since menopause, my carbohydrate intolerance has plummeted. And if you're overweight, I'll tell you right now, you're eating far too much carbohydrate. Probably not enough fat and your protein ratio. It's all about your percentages. Forget even what the food is. The percentages of your macros, your fats, your carbs, and your proteins is what's causing you to store weight or to lose weight. Now, the underlying cause of that can be microbiome, can be stress, can be metabolism, can be age, can be hormones, could be medication you're taking. All of these things impact it. But regardless of that, your macro percentages are what's causing you to store or release. So know that it is not rocket science. We have, and maybe you don't want to do it. Do you think I wanted to cut out a lot of my vegetables and I love breads, etc. But you want to balance your blood sugar, etc. I love porridge and yogurt and lots of fruits and nuts and seeds. I can't have that. It spikes my blood sugar. So suck it up, people. What do you want most? Great health and vitality, or the taste of these foods? You need to train your microbiome, and you need to understand how that body of yours works, because if you don't, you're going to be at the behest of Big Pharma. And you don't want that, do you? Anyway, have a wonderful day, and I'm not sure, I might have to jump on the bus tomorrow morning, so I may or may not be here. I will let you know. Have a great one. Ciao. Happy juicing.